Co-coordinate More Voices in Windfall with Tom Titus, who happens to be here. And a quick announcement, Evelyn Hess will be one of our readers in November, and so I invite you to come out for the reading November 15th, Tuesday evening, right across the street at the library, 6 p.m. Evelyn and Jeff Steger, both local Lane County writers, both fabulous. So, thanks. So, change of pace here. So if you've heard all three of us, you'll see that we're very different from one another. I don't think I have too much X-rated stuff going on, but yeah. Anyway, thank you to Howard and Margaret and to Lane Community College for making the reading possible, to Laura and Whitey and to our friends here. And then also to my poetry critique groups, first and third Thursday, and Red Sofa Poets. It's a real pleasure to be able to spend time with people talking poetry, reading their work, hearing their critiques. I mean, it's just been lovely. So what I'd like to start with is an alternate biography. Newt Gingrich and I attended the same high school. Barbara Hammer taught English at that school, albeit in a different decade. The filmmaker behind Nitrate Kisses and a pioneer in queer cinema, she told us to call her Barbara instead of Miss or Mrs. Hammer. She smiled at our ninth graders' collective gasp. Much later, she said, "My life is my vision." Unlike my ex-teacher, I don't have a Wikipedia page. I do, however, contribute to help keep it afloat. I like hearing people from Maine and New Hampshire use wicked as an adverb. I love hearing the French use adverbs, nouns, verbs, and adjectives. One of my favorite words, honestly, is fuck, as in fucking or unfucking believable. Sitting near the Eiffel Tower when I was 8, bird poo fell from the sky and splattered my left forearm. Merde. As a mother who changed diapers on 2 sons, I've been peed on too. Before using the women's restroom in the basement of the Schnitzer Art Museum on the University of Oregon campus, I inspect each stall to make sure no one is lurking. No one is a euphemism for no man. I pushed furniture against doors before tucking in at night. I've removed a groper's hands from my chest, stayed inside when I wanted to go out after dark. In my 20s, an older man I thought was calling me closer to ask for directions grabbed and kissed me. He actually cackled as I withdrew in shock. I could go on. I'll stop there. Not infrequently, deep in my 50s, I'm asked to smile by men I don't know. Not infrequently, deep in my 50s, I suffer from migraines. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Susan Olsen are migraine people, my people. Susan played Cindy in the Brady Bunch. I've never watched the Wild Bunch all the way through, but I've seen Shenandoah a few times. At the end of the movie, the family patriarch, played by Jimmy Stewart, joins fellow parishioners in singing "Praise God, from whom all blessings flow." His youngest child, gone for several years, enters the church, hops in on one crutch, his leg lost to the Civil War. Soon as that boy starts up the aisle, tears well in my eyes, my reliable tears. I sometimes ponder how we came to call the sides North and South instead of United States and traitors. I spent my early years in church and Sunday school. What I miss is the singing. My alter ego writes country western songs. My superpower is overstaying my welcome. I didn't realize I was from Eugene until I moved here. One of the things that drove me from a nascent career as a newspaper reporter was covering a double homicide, 11-year-old girls. The other thing was Ronald Reagan's election as U.S. president. These are not, of course, equivalent crimes. In 1981, Reagan said, "Trees cause more pollution than automobiles do." In 1981, I spent 10 days in the Eagle Cap Wilderness, surrounded by killer trees. 34 years later, I stood atop Mount Howard and watched forest fires from Idaho, Washington, Oregon meet in a braid of smoke. So speaking of forest fires, my next poem appeared earlier this year in the Fourth Rivers climate change issue. How will the plants grow if the water turns to dust? There is no dust in summer here. Richard R. Howard, April 6, 1847, letter from the Oregon Territory. Here, look at me. Here, let me help you. Here it is. Here, as a way of calling attention. Feel the tension, taut rope across the chasm. Call it gulf, call it rift. Gorge or crater, brand it, mark it, scuff it. Watch for scree, for slippage at the rim. Between the known and known, label these peaks, call them top, call them zenith. Drop inside a gap, find an opening, the aperture. Locate light passing through your cradle of arms. Will you someday harvest raindrops from the underside of green, wetness from the underside of tongue? How will you answer the wind? With your name or with the name of another? Here, in, at, or to this place, indicating one's presence in a roll call. So my next poem comes from an exercise in which I borrow from and pay homage to Patricia Farnoli's The Undeniable Pressure of Existence. And my poem takes a little bit different turn. The irrefutable weight of survival. And from my moving car, I watched him, damp, gaunt, beard matted and dull, crossing beneath the bridge, loping toward the river, passing community gardens, bellowing to the heavens, sick or hungry, asking for salvation. Far from the lines of trucks and buses filled with turned-away thick faces, he darted. Through elements of sun and rain, silver gold, his emerald shade for shelter. Over, under, he stepped and slipped away, for the interstate hum of dusk, uncertain safety after midnight. I wanted to pull to the side of the road and follow, trace his footsteps into the trees, see the bedroll, plastic bags, and keepsakes. The imperfect rose split, disheveled. I didn't want to see his eyes, had no desire to save him. I wanted to know a front door like my own, an opening, a closing. So since I'm on a roll here with loss and survival, a couple more poems in that vein. That morning we burned toast, and thank you to Folio Literary Magazine for publishing this earlier this year. Folio is a journal from the Medical College of Georgia in Athens, and so they publish medical, health, and healing poems. That morning we burned toast. Missing sunlight, she totes stale darkness from room to room, opening windows and invitation. She hums private names for despair and hope, for gratitude. Her new flesh tastes of grainy smoke and sugar, wears a fresh scar. No broken limbs, and life changes abruptly. She fell, and fish still swim in the sea. All flicker and alternating current for the survivor. Memory, language, dream. 1,000 suns shimmer, distress and revelation. 100 billion neurons blinking. Inside keening winds, mists can slip swiftly into torrent. A wounded diver can flounder. Beneath the surface, diffident waves swallow faces and swollen fingers every day. Translucent shallows lure the unguarded, simply, brutally. Past faded warnings of riptide, hidden depths, drift of gentle power, one bather turns and waves. After, at the kitchen table. On the fourth day, after the handshakes and half-hugs, the sitting and greeting and sitting, after introductions to a cousin called brother, a brother named lost uncle, after music, after the blues of visitation, her last gown sheen, melting snow through a solitary window, after the vigil, after the sealed casket and funeral mass, expressway to Calvary, after weeping or scorning the weeping, after dirt, after the slow, silent ride, after returning to casseroles and stale cookies. Differing stories spilled from identical mouths, the oldest. I found her housekeeping smocks in the hallway closet, ruined her knees, but she loved that job. Then the next, what are you talking about? She hated every minute. Their arguments spun until someone mentioned the last service. Same cemetery, same ride back. Remember when he came home stinking drunk and she chased him with a knife round the kitchen? After half laughter, the youngest, looking into his hands, you guys don't even know. You left. You left me behind. And I'll give my 3-poem warning here. This is, some of you know Avery McCrae, and this is for Avery McCrae and some other brave children who are taking on the climate change fight on our behalf. 21 children sue the U.S. government because 350 parts per million is bigger than arithmetic, because addition is common, easier than division, multiplication faster than subtraction, because common is familiar, ordinary, unacceptable. Borders blur between common and uncommon. The intersections startle. Plum blossom confetti dusting the ground, a clutch of finches slurring in song, the newborn unsealing her eyes. We forget, turn to fractions, digits, negative numbers. We burn and break a promise. Consider elements of an equation: receding glaciers, melting sea ice, ocean acidification, heavy rains, flooding, drought, heat waves, wildfire, extinction, cause and effect. Mathematics is relationships, connections. Children learn to measure time, distance, quantity. Patterns, conjecture, abstraction, proof. Whose calculations count? Because standing means existence, lasting, not yet cut or harvested. Because 21 children in a courtroom claim standing, sufficient connection to the balance, a reckoning. And speaking of Valois Gadouji, this appeared earlier with them. And so I'll end with 2 prayers, and this is the first. Beatitudes for the furious certain. Blessed, and I think given the timing of Tuesday, here we go. Beatitudes for the furious certain. Blessed are the flame throwers, for they shall burn with bountiful fervor. Blessed are the blistered shouters, for they shall rasp each vowel. Blessed are the valiant unseeing, for they shall witness generous malice. Blessed are the fierce engravers, for they shall carve miserly script. Blessed are the sliver-hearted, for they shall pulse with cold blood. Blessed are those who thirst for rectitude, for they shall be parched by vitriol. Blessed are the furious certain, for they shall dwell in deep caverns. Blessed are the corner prophets, for they shall travel queer angles. And blessed are you who suffer in piety, on earth as you would in heaven. Your reward shall be the hair shirt, taste of bile, the errant tendril secreted inside the pure and brazen locket. And I'd like to end with a benediction from W.S. Merwin. Thanks. Thanks by W.S. Merwin. Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We are stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We are running out of the glass rooms with our mouths full of food to look at the sky and say thank you. We are standing by the water thanking it, standing by the windows looking out in our directions. Back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging, after funerals, we are saying thank you. After the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them, we are saying thank you. Over telephones, we are saying thank you. in doorways and in the backs of cars and in elevators, remembering wars and the police at the door and the beatings on stairs, we are saying thank you. In the banks, we are saying thank you. In the faces of the officials and the rich and of all who will never change, we go on saying thank you, thank you. With the animals dying around us, taking our feelings, we are saying thank you. With the forests falling faster than the minutes of our lives, we are saying thank you. With the words going out like cells of a brain, with the cities growing over us, we are saying thank you faster and faster. With nobody listening, we are saying thank you. Thank you, we are saying and waving, dark though it is. Thank you.